I was at Kimbolton School. It's a public school in Cambridgeshire, Kimbolton, small village near Huntingdon. Reverend Ron Lancaster, who started the company nearly 50 years ago now, he was a school chaplain at the school and also a chemistry master. He started the company, as I say, 50 years ago. I just had an interest for fireworks. Obviously Ron did a display at the school every November, and when I was younger I used to go and watch that, and as I got older I wanted to see if I can help, so got a job in the factory, which was quite good as a student, earning a good bit of money over the summer holidays, because you can get a lot of overtime obviously with doing displays in the weekend and working in the factory 5 days a week. Then 10 years ago the opportunity arose to be their display manager, which I took. I'm now the display director of the company, and as I say, been there full time for 10 years, but I've been associated with the company probably nearly 20 years now. This is our 4th year now that we've done the cows display, so I suppose we could be said to be veterans, but not compared to the company that did it before us, because I understand that they did it for 130 odd years or something. Right. So. Firing from a barge has its own challenges in terms of the space. It's very tight for space, and artistically it's difficult to achieve width, obviously, because we're confined to the size of the barge only being about 20 metres wide. A similar shape to this on land, we probably spread the fireworks over a 150 metre width. So what we do is we have angled positions on the barges, so we have 11 what we call front positions, which will go along the width of the barge equidistant, and the middle one is straight up, and then the next two are a 5-degree angle off to the left and right, and it progressively goes out, I think it's actually 8-degree increments, and it goes out to a 45-degree angle, so that you can get a big peacock's tail effect when the fireworks from every position fire. And so that's how we try and achieve the width as well as height to the display. So it's unique to a barge display, and obviously because of the number of people that we've got watching spread over a huge area, it needs to be entirely aerial. So all of the fireworks are very aerial, high-level fireworks, which on many shows will tend to change or alternate between higher level and lower level, but for something like this we need to keep the impact and make sure that everybody from up to 2 miles around can see it, so it's all very, very high level stuff. So it's concentrated mainly from sort of 300 feet up to 1,000 feet. It's probably one of the most prestigious annual events that we do in the calendar. It's one of the largest in terms of budget. It's probably one of the largest in terms of the number of people that watch it. It's got its own challenges with firing from a barge and having so many boats and yachts all around us. And last year when we fired the display, the harbour master pointed out to me a big black boat which had B&Q on the side of it, and pointed out that was Ellen MacArthur's boat, which was about £10 million. So I was quite keen to get a little bit further away from it. So it has its challenges, that's for sure. There's probably nearly 2,000 individual firing queues. Sometimes you could have one firework attached to one of those queues. Sometimes you could have anywhere up to 300 separate fireworks or projectiles onto one of those queues. So with 2,000 actual queues or firing queues in the programme, there's probably 6,000 fireworks. Some of those may have 300 shots, as I say, inside them, so there's probably close to 20-odd thousand projectiles going up into the sky. So yeah, quite a lot of fireworks. It's probably about just under 2 tons of explosives. So this is what we call a smiley happy face. It's a 6-inch hemisphere shell. We have a lifting charge at the base here, and the fuse goes down to the lifting charge, which ignites the lifting charge, projects this shell out of the mortar tube to about 600 feet high, and then we have, in a perfect circle, the stars packed around the circumference of the shell with the smiley face, the nose and the eyes, and with the central bursting charge we get that pattern appear in the sky as it bursts. Let's load that in there. When you fire a pattern shell like that, you never know what plane it's going to burst on. So if it's in the wrong plane, you'll just see a straight line, or it could be upside down. So in order to try and stop it from being upside down, we have a length of string on the bottom of it, so that as it travels, the string keeps it in the right plane. But you can never know for definite which angle it's going to go. So plus you've got people all the way around you, so we fire probably up to 6 or 8 of them, so that hopefully somebody somewhere will be able to see a perfect formation of a happy smiley face. Just law of averages basically. The fireworks we've got here can't be sold to the general public. I guess the most expensive one would be close to about £500. We have a small steel cabin that we put on the corner of the barge, and we put the control in there and fire from inside that cabin, and then the rest of the crew are on the boat, the tug, which is tugging the barge into position. So there's only Simon, who's on the balcony of the yacht squadron, who liaises with the harbour master to position the barge and tell me when to start. There's only 3 people on the barge to actually fire it. It only takes me to fire it, but the other 2 guys there just to help me and for backup. And then everyone else watches it from the tug. But I mean, none of us really get a great view of it because we're directly underneath it, so you just see a massive stars above you, and you don't really appreciate the height difference of certain fireworks bursting much higher than others, or graduation of fireworks going from 300 feet up to 1,000 feet. Once I've designed the display, we create a firefile which basically has the 2,000 cues, obviously in time order from the start to the end. And the computer knows exactly which cue to fire at which given moment in time, and we just let it run through. Obviously we have a backup as well, just in case we have a problem with either the main module or the computer, and I have a second backup, so a third firing control, which is a simplified version of the main module, and that has the cues downloaded into it, so you don't need a laptop for that. So we have the 2 backups just in case one of the main elements of the display decides to go down or fail on us, which can happen but happens very rarely. But on a show of this size, the last thing you want to do is to have no show because of a dodgy computer or a battery going flat. It's quite a thrill on the barge, because when you're in that steel container, the vibrations and the noise are fairly deafening and an echo around, so you get a real thud, and there's a lot of exhilaration and adrenaline pumping around when the barge starts firing, so I suppose we get our kicks that way. The configuration of the barge is basically aimed for the majority of the people on the shore, and depending on what the wind is doing and how strong it is, we will move the barge further upwind to give us a greater downwind distance to anything that might be hazardous or likely to get dross landing on it. So if there's a still night, then we'll be bang in the middle of the channel. If it's blowing in one particular direction, then we'll move slightly to the other side of the channel to give us a greater downwind distance before there's any craft or boats in the downwind range. It's amazing when we get close to the display just how many boats there are all around us. So certainly the nerves definitely start to build up a couple of hours beforehand, because you can just see the expectation and all the boats coming out, and we're almost surrounded by craft. But as long as everything runs smoothly, most people are fairly impressed with fireworks. Obviously people have come out to watch them, so they're obviously not going to be firework haters if they bother to come out. So you know, most people will have a good time and thoroughly enjoy it, and hopefully they'll go away thinking that was the best display they've seen. you do actually get to feel the appreciation, I think, because a lot of, certainly at Cowes, people show their appreciation by blowing the hooters or the horns of their boat, so you tend to know fairly quickly whether or not you've done a good job or not. After the sort of 10-minute safety period, we then go and check to make sure that all the fireworks have cleared up and gone, and then any live fireworks left, we box them up. Once it's all been made clear and safe, we just start de-rigging, and most of the tackle that we've loaded today will all be palletised and put into cages, ready to be by the time we get back to Southampton, because it's a good hour-and-a-half trip, plus we'll be sitting on the buoy for an hour, so it's 2.5 hours before we get back here. So most of the work's all done, so when we get back here we just simply hoist it back off on the crane and load the lorries, and then we're off. So we're probably gone by about 2 o'clock in the morning after the display.